Okay. Yeah, the problem is that most of our people don't seem to realize that we are in a very critical situation where it has become so dangerous for people to just say schools should open or people to imagine schools should remain closed forever. Now, my opinion is that education has no substitute. However, even though education is no substitute, we can still create alternatives to the way education is delivered to people in a certain country or community or throughout the world. By this I mean countries should learn to embrace this new idea of e-learning and e-teaching. You know, it might appear expensive or might appear far-fetched. I've heard some people saying most of our communities in Africa cannot afford that. But all the same, affordable or not, it is a new way of doing things, which we have to, in one way or the other, adopt. It's rather better to find cheaper ways of accessing online education, where people can maybe form clusters or groups in which students can do their e-learning education, rather than saying we cannot afford it, we cannot afford it. Because this new corona era has no boundaries. It knows no poverty, it knows no riches. Therefore, we cannot give excuses. Because while we continue giving excuses, the truth remains that we seem to have replaced the education with doing nothing. And that's a very dangerous scenario for our children. We need to learn that the days of the traditional brick and mortar classrooms are over. And unless and until the world realizes that, then we are doomed. We cannot create a doomed generation when we have ICT at our disposal. No, there's no point in saying we cannot afford. Because, as I said, the virus does not know issues of affordability or issues of being unable to buy those things. What you need to understand that we have no option. We have no option. We really have to fit in. And say, in other circles, they say we have to shape up or ship out. And I'm saying we have to shape out or sink. We cannot continue to watch our children staying at home while we give excuses that we cannot do anything for our kids. Remember, this is a virus. And my belief is that it's going to be with us for quite some time. It is not going away very soon. Even if vaccines may be found, remember, it will take a long time for those vaccines to be offered free to people in the third world and people in the developing countries. But we still continue to hear people saying, hey, we cannot open schools or we should open schools. When in actual fact, nothing has been put in place. I'm not talking about one country. I'm talking about most countries of this world that cannot afford e-learning and e-teaching. It's high time everybody realizes the futility of continuing to give excuses, while at the same time, without ensuring that those excuses take our children back to school. Children need to go back to school. At the same time, they need to go back to safe schools. And it is an obligation for adults. As adults, and as governments, as politicians, and everybody else, we have a moral duty to ensure that children go back to school. At the same time, those schools have to be safe. If they can't go back to school, then we have to adopt e-learning and e-teaching. At whatever the cost, we have no choice. We really, really have no choice. And my dream is to see people realizing that we have no choice except to find alternatives to the way in which education is delivered to our children who need it so much as we needed it while we were growing up. I believe people are not being serious about it. There's a lot of politics surrounding the issue of COVID. We need to throw that to the bin and start facing the reality that our children need to go back to school. Or if they can't, then we have to find adequate gadgetry, I have seen different causes in this world receiving numerous donations. I believe we can also do the same with raising funds to give gadgets to children who need them. They need them most. As for the education of how to use those gadgets, that's a very easy thing. Children learn easily on their own. What I have been learned to understand is that children have studied a lot of things on their own without teachers. I know adults need professors and doctors to teach them different things in life, but children have learned a lot of things without any teacher. Children have learned a lot of things from their own peers, something that adults cannot easily do. So just give them the gadgets and see if they will not be able to use them. My feeling and humble submission is that I know children can always use these gadgets. If you look at how they use their gadgets today, you would see they would teach an adult a lot of things about those gadgets. Why can't we make them access more so that they will be able to use them for their own education? There is need for a paradigm shift where people need to realize that times have changed. Times are changing. Unfortunately, we have been forced to change by a catastrophe in the form of COVID-19. Whatever that means, change is change. Whatever brings it doesn't matter. We need to realize that times have changed and we also need to change. We cannot remain in a situation where people feel that our children are safe if they remain home. Remember, they need an education. Finally, let me suggest that we cannot wait anymore. At the same time, we cannot take our children to schools that are not safe. Thank you.